This is a workshop on how you can move your courses from being in a face-to-face format to at least a partially online format. I realize this is a surprise to many of you having to do this because of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic, but we're going to show you some options that can hopefully give you some low-tech to higher-tech ways of dealing with this in a way that we can get through the rest of the semester. All right, so let's move on to the slide. So I asked the question, can you review this after the workshop? Well, you can review this anytime because these slides were made for an on-campus workshop, but you're going to have this available to you online and you can view it anytime. So there is a new Teach Anywhere website that we've created to help support this effort. And you have to prefix it with the normal 3ws2.palomar.edu/pages/ and then Teach Anywhere as one word. So we'll take a look at that in just a second. So we were asking the question, what can you use for delivering your course in a new format? If it was face-to-face, what other tools can you use? So the most simplest, of course, is email. It is limited, but it is a simple tool that everybody knows how to use, at least to some extent, and we'll go over some of the more details of that. Also, for those of you who aren't aware, there's a tool called Zoom. Now, Zoom is something that happens at the same time with you and your students being in a virtual room, if you will. It's the closest to being in an actual lecture. Your students all participate at the same time as you. They'll get to see what's going on in your computer and they'll hear your voice, for which you will need a microphone. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. And the other main tool is Canvas itself, which is our um, uh, learning management system that we use at Palomar College. Some of you have been around for a while know that a number of years ago we used Blackboard, but we've converted to Canvas over the past few years. Now, it is more complex. It does have more options as well. And so many of you, fortunately, are using Canvas even for a face-to-face class as a place to post your assignments, receive their assignment submissions up through the Canvas upload interface, post your grades, maybe post a syllabus. It gives you a way to authenticate that the students are logging, that they are who they say they are when they submit an assignment, because they have to log in through the Palomar login system, the sign-on system. So looking at the email solution first, just a little bit, to be able to send an email to your entire class, you need to have the emails for your entire class. And so I'm going to show you a way to do that, to get a collection of all the emails that you can then use to send messages to everybody in there through their Palomar email account. One of the things to remember if you're going to use this method, and you're probably going to email your students at least somewhat, is let them know that you're doing this and that you're sending it to their Palomar email IDs only or addresses only, and tell them during this period that we're going through these special response for the pandemic, to check their email every day, to get in the habit, set their expectations to do that, and you be on there every day, and say something if you must, but make sure that they know to check every day so they don't miss something critical going forward. So let's moving on here a little bit. So we're going to go through My Palomar to get on, and I'm going to do some of that online. I'm going to demonstrate that. So as you see, you have your normal My Palomar eServices login. You put in your Palomar ID and your password, and you click that button. And that'll bring you to the Faculty Center, which for me is here. This is what I'm teaching in the spring 2020. And I'm going to show you how to see the student email. So I'm going to pick this course here, and then I'll show you how that looks. And the way to get to it is well, first we click the roster, okay, and then it opens up to this. But your student email stuff, we're going to have to scroll down to see that. So when you get to the bottom of your roster, behind this little text pad thing are a list of students that are in your class roster. I'm sure you've all seen that before. And I'm just covering that up to not reveal student information. But so it's there. But the thing that you're going to want to click on is this notify all students. So let's do that here. Now I clicked that button and I came to the thing where you see the class roster and I see my email ID to me, but I see a blind copy to my students. Well, I took those students out again for security reasons and I just changed it to these things like yippee, woohoo, and jumping, whatever. I just put some fake email IDs in there so we can show that in the blind copy area is where you'll see a list of everything. Now, I scroll down on this. So you can do one, two things. You can take this subject line, leave it as it is, or you can overwrite it and say, um, hey, hey everyone. And then I can put a message text here. Hi there. Okay, so I can do this and I can send the notification and it'll send it to me, but it'll also send it to all of these students here. Now, I'm not even going to illustrate that. This works, but it's a very simple interface. And if you want to add attachments, you want to do things, be something more complex. What we recommend instead is that you drag your mouse and select all of those emails, and then you can hit Control C or Control X would would cut them. Control C would copy them. Either way works. Take them out of there, and then go over to your email system. So I went into the email system and I clicked new message up here in Outlook 365. Now, in the blind copy box, I will go ahead and put in the ones that I copied. If I can get it there. So it doesn't recognize anybody. That's why it's showing up as bogus emails, because these don't exist. But you'd put them in the blind copy area. Then you would again email to yourself. Okay. I put that in here. Then you put your message. I don't know what's okay. There you put your message and do your attachments like you would normally do. Attach a file or what have you. Send just your normal email system. So you'd have a list then which to use to always broadcast to your students through the email system. Hey, this Monday I want you to read chapter 1, and after chapter 1, make sure you do answer the questions that are in the back of the chapter, or complete an essay and upload it by Wednesday. So instead of uploading though, they would send it back to you as an email attachment. So I've jumped out of the PowerPoint for a second to this Teach Anywhere site. And when you first go on it, of course, you see the lovely picture in temporary alternative methods of instruction. So let's scroll down so we can see something useful. This is a useful introduction about things that we care about, and we're mentioning the three main tools again, that can be used: the Canvas, Zoom, and email. And it says here by Monday, this Monday, March 16th, faculty and staff will have received an email from Zoom.us with the subject line of Confer Zoom account information with directions on how to sign up. I'm going to show you a little bit how to do that in the next video, but for right now, I just know that that'll happen, and I mentioned email already. And if you have disability considerations when converting online for students with disabilities, you're going to need to pay attention to that as well. So there's some additional resources as well, and then just some links that take us back to some of these other areas. So the Getting Started area, I highly recommend that you look at that, because this is something we borrowed really some text from Stanford, and I give them credit down at the bottom. But they've thought this through and had sites ready before this latest pandemic. And they have some very nice comments about how to communicate with your students right away, considering realistic goals. These are really good tips, things to think about. And it's just a page of information. And I highly recommend that you look that over and just think about how that applies to your situation. So moving on, we have a training link, which currently has workshops. It has things that we have from the workshop slides. These are the on-campus workshops, and a simple Canvas template that I'll be showing you how to use later, where you can set up a Canvas class. We've got a few things just set up for you automatically, just to make it a little bit easier than going in cold. So these were some current workshops that were in the PD system that all met at LRC 208 was the room. Now this page is going to change, so keep track of this. I'm going to be putting this online class on here and a link for that, and some other resources, some other um, uh, workshops are going to become available through Zoom where you'll meet at the same time. And so after viewing this online workshop that you do by yourself, you might want to take a Zoom workshop with somebody and get your questions answered immediately. So over here, teaching resources, you just click on the down arrow there. Using email is kind of what I went over about how to conduct your class with weekly lessons. You might choose to use a Google Drive or something in your sources if you're familiar with that. Um, and one thing that we don't have a good solution for at this point is how students talk to one another via email. You can't give out the student's email address without their permission, and you can't post grades to a student's email unless you have their explicit permission to do so. So you'll have to keep that in mind. We have a grading information in Canvas, but some of you just may not feel comfortable going to Canvas. So this is an ever-evolving situation here at Palomar, and I'm sure we'll be given some more direction as we go. So I'm making this video as of March 14th. So be aware that things may change from what is said here. Student discussions are difficult to do there, and there are other tools that may help you if you're not using Canvas, but Canvas would be probably the easiest if you're comfortable going there. So this is important. Keep track of everything. Save all your communications. Don't delete anything. Keep all the materials that you use temporarily to send out to students. If there's ever a dispute after this pandemic is over and someone says they dispute their grade or something, you want to have as much of the material to show how you conducted the class. Remember, all the FERPA guidelines that we received, they still apply. Private student information, like grades, must still be kept private. And then I have a little marketing here for the next thing we're going to talk about is how to use Zoom to meet with your students online. It's the thing that's most like teaching in a regular class. If you can't be in a lecture room, you can be in a virtual room. It's the next best thing. It's really easy to use. It runs in a web browser, and it even runs on mobile phones. Zoom allows you to conduct a lecture real time. So your students are already expecting you to be in a classroom from a particular time. So that's the time to conduct your Zoom sessions. That's class time. It's just being done differently now. And you can share a screen with your class screen on your computer, and you can show them what's going on, and they can hear your voice. Note, you will need a microphone. You'll need an inexpensive microphone. It doesn't cost a whole lot. If you have any trouble at all, talk to your department getting one, and if they can't get one for you, but for a Zoom session to go on, you're going to need a microphone. Just like you're hearing me now, you're going to need your students to hear you. So we're going to go in that in the next video, but before I go to that video, I'll just mention here's the Zoom technique where there are some notes on that. There's some quick guides to help you, and then there's something if you're going to use Zoom within Canvas. And Canvas, again, is our main tool, and we have some guides here, some other videos that were done by other people and other information that can help you. Okay, so there's just some really good tips there. So again, this last thing here is also very good. This best practices. Take a look at that. Again, this was borrowed from the Stanford University site of the same name, Teach Anywhere, and they've really thought this out well. How to communicate with students, how to distribute your course materials and readings, and deliver your lectures. And so so there's Canvas and non-Canvas solutions. And if you have any special considerations for DRC students, you can click on that page and read about it there. So, okay, I'm going to wrap up this part of the video. It's a little longer than I'd hoped. It's going to be a little less than 15 minutes. But I'm going to go on and have a couple subsequent videos that go through Zoom especially and Canvas information.